Ladies and gentlemen, happy Sabbath and welcome to Ugashi's Command TV. I want to ask you a simple question. Peter Salasya want to be president, want to vie for the president in 2027. And let me ask you a simple question. If Peter Salasya will be on the ballots, would you vote for him as the President of the Republic of Kenya? Ladies and gentlemen, William Samoei Ruto has infiltrated the opposition. I've always said that in the fullness of time, if the opposition is not going to be very careful, they are going to be infiltrated. Peter Salasya yesterday was in Kwale at the coast, and he is on a presidential campaign. The other day he was in Nakuru, and yesterday he could not even attend the burial of his fellow comrade, that is a member of parliament, his former colleague, that is his fellow colleague in parliament. Charles Were was buried yesterday, but Peter Salasya could not even postpone his campaign to the coast. Ladies and gentlemen, there are some people who the opposition should be very, very careful as far as politics is concerned when it comes with dealing with them. I want you to watch this clip here. When Oscar Sudi and Peter Salasya are meeting somewhere outside parliament, and tell me what is happening here. And let me ask you, who is Sudi? The engineer mwenyewe. Watch this short clip before we give you others that are going to leave you shocked wherever you are.
Engineer. Yes, sir. Engineer Oscar Sudi. Yes, sir. Uko na kijana yako? Niko na kijana yangu hapa. Anaitwa Papa Salasya. No, niliambia apunguze nywele. Apunguze nywele. Akasikia maneno. Amejua kumbe inji yetu ni kubwa. Inji ni kubwa. Anasema anapiga yes. Na wengine ni baadaye. Anapiga yes.
Jina leo umelifanya maneno.
Salasya bado na yumba yumba.
Jina leo ameliweka box nyingine hapa hatari. Sijui itakuwa mgeni wa nani.
I also noted he was in a convoy, a large convoy, a fleet of vehicles when he was going to the coast. And I asked myself, is this the same person who was showing us that his payslip net take home was Kenya shilling 18,000? Just the other day, he was telling that he's very, very broke. All of a sudden, he has a lot of money campaigning for the presidency. Who is sponsoring this person? In my view, Peter Salasya is working with the government. Peter Salasya is actually a spy in the opposition. And none other than the Kwale governor also introduced him to the youth. And he was very happy to tell the youth that this is your own. You'll be your president. Watch here the Kwale governor, followed by the women also, because I want to show you two continuous clips. One Kwale governor introducing Peter Salasya as the president, the future president, the Kwale governor of all people. And again, you see the women in Kwale, the way they are actually talking about Peter Salasya, the way they are welcoming him. And tell me, I have nothing wrong with Peter Salasya, but from where I sit, I think Peter Salasya is not his own man.
Mimi naitwa Gilbert Nalwa, mimi ni kijana mdogo sana. Hata nikisema miaka yangu hapa wengine mtashangaa. Lakini nataka niwaambie kitu kimoja wa vijana wa Kwale. Sisi tumeona ndoto na tumeona mbele. Mheshimiwa huyu mbunge wetu kijana katika bunge la kitaifa ameamua ya kwamba atembee na vijana. Hiyo pia sisi kama vijana tukaweze kupata nafasi katika serikali ya kitaifa mwaka wa 2027. Vijana mko tayari? Mimi sasa sitaki kusema mambo mingi, nataka mnisaidie tu tuimbe wimbo moja peke yake, na najua hiyo wimbo kila mtu hapa anajua. Hiyo wimbo inaenda, mnataka kuisikia? Salasya kiboko yao, ae, Salasya kiboko yao, aye ye ye, Salasya kiboko yao, aye, Salasya kiboko yao, aye ye ye. Asanteni sana, tutatembea pamoja.
Na siasa ya Mwabungo hauwezi toboa. Mama Mishi, ongelesha watu wa Mwabungo.
Asalamu alaikum. Mimi ni Mama Mishi kutoka hapa Mwabungo. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Salasya. Sisi tupenda kila mtu hapa Mwabungo. Kwa hivyo karibu kama unatu.
So ladies and gentlemen, the big question is, why has William Samoei Ruto chosen Peter Salasya? Number one, in my view, is the scrabble for the Gen Z, the scrabble for the youth that constitute about 61%. Remember, the Gen Z has left the government. Remember, the Gen Z are very angry with William Samoei Ruto. Remember, it is a Gen Z who will take William Samoei Ruto, if at all he is going to go home. It is the Gen Z who have been suffering under the leadership of William Samoei Ruto. I'm not saying that the other people have not been suffering, but the Gen Z have been feeling the heat of William Samoei Ruto's presidency more than any other group of people. Talk of unemployment, talk of the killings, talk of abductions, and William Samoei Ruto understands very clearly that without the youth, he cannot win the presidency. So what does he do? Said Peter Salasya to divide the youth. Number three is to divide the opposition, to infiltrate the opposition. When you look at the opposition, it is very clear that Raila Amolo Odinga has lost the Mulebe nation. It is also very clear that Mudavadi and Wetangula cannot convince the Western nation to vote for William Samoei Ruto. The only person who is better placed to maybe get some votes here and there is none other than Peter Salasya. Then there is also the question of one, George Natembea. There's also Okiya Mtata. And there's also Eugene Wamalwa. These three leaders are giving William Samoei Ruto a nightmare. They are giving the government sleepless nights. These guys seems to be attracting the youth. And to divide these votes, to ensure that the Western votes do not fall in one basket, comes Peter Salasya and take a big chunk of the Western vote. The Mulebe nation will be hopelessly divided if they are not careful. Because you see, Sifuna is, when you listen to people like Sifuna, when you listen to people like Boni Kawale, when you listen to many leaders in the Western nation, you agree with me. They have refused to follow Raila Amolo Odinga. They have also refused to follow William Samoei Ruto, the president. So that is how Peter Salasya comes in. William Samoei Ruto also want to create an atmosphere of mistrust, confusion, and betrayal among the youth. And when this happens, people divided cannot do anything. People united can never be defeated. But unajua Waswahili wanasema umoja ni nguvu, utengano ni udhaifu. This is what William Samoei Ruto wants. By planting a seed of mistrust, the youth are not going to trust their own. The youth are not going to trust anybody. Because you see, already a conversation has started. Is Peter Salasya a mole in the opposition? Is Peter Salasya an agent of William Samoei Ruto? The conversation has already started. The mistrust has already set in. And one day, if Kenyans are not careful, you remember this video. And many other, what will happen from here is that Peter Salasya is going to form a political party. Then the government is going to fund him. The government is going to fund him to have as many members of parliament as possible, as many senators, governors as possible. And these are the people who will go to parliament disguising as independent candidates, disguising as a dependent party, disguising as opposition. But now when they go to parliament, they start voting one by one, they start defecting one by one to the government side or to William Samoei Ruto's side, should he win the elections. That way, he will have a majority in parliament, if he is going to win. William Samoei Ruto understands very clearly that he will be a one-term president. And to ensure that this does not happen, he is going to do anything to scatter the opposition in the four corners of the wheat. And William Samoei Ruto, I've always told you, if there is a political animal that is very, very cunning, a political animal that is very ruthless, it is not Raila Amolo Odinga. It is William Samoei Ruto. William Samoei Ruto was there when Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi divided the opposition in 1992. Moses Kuria was telling us that if you are not careful, we are likely to see history repeating itself. And what happened in 1992 may also happen again. William Samoei Ruto also want to control the narrative of change. You know, people are talking about change. People are talking of having a youthful leader. And this is how now Peter Salasya comes in. When you control the narrative, you control the youth. Once you control the narrative, you have the voice with you. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at William Samoei Ruto, you agree with me that William Samoei Ruto is going to do anything to win the elections. William Samoei Ruto is not going to stop at anything to ensure that opposition is divided. Is the opposition going to stand united? Can opposition be able to read between the lines? Are they going to know who is the mole among themselves? Because in the fullness of time, time will tell. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. I don't know what you think. Otherwise, I don't know. But let me know in the comment section. Bye-bye.